My most embarrassing thing that I've ever done in my perfume journey, I can't even say it. Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Tammy, and today I want to talk about my top fall favorites. So fall is my favorite time of year, and I just love like the crispness of the air, and I love the color of the leaves. I really love watching everybody's fall favorites, and I've been watching a lot of fall fragrance videos, and actually two things that I've noticed are, number one, I'll be watching a fragrance video and they'll be naming off these fragrances and I'll be like, I have tried that one and I don't like it. They'll name another one and I'll say to myself, I can't stand that one. So it kind of made me second guess doing a video about my fall favorites, because you might not like mine, just like I don't like other people's choices sometimes. But I very well may have found the fall fragrance of my dreams, and my whole video is going to be based around that one fragrance, and then I'm going to tell you some of my other favorites for fall too. So the other thing I've noticed while watching fall fragrance videos is that a lot of times the prices are more than what I would spend, especially if I haven't smelled them. But I love sampling, you guys know that. But there was one video that I watched where almost every single fragrance, I looked it up, and the Canadian price ranged anywhere from $470 to $570. And I was thinking, man, that's a lot. I think of fragrance prices almost like having a nice meal. If you go to a really nice steakhouse and you have a steak dinner and you have wine and you have dessert and you have coffee, then you're gonna spend probably $150 or more. And that is what I consider like kind of niche prices, 150, maybe 200 if you had like a super nice meal. But the reason I do that is because I can justify a $150 perfume by saying, well, if you spent that much on a meal, it'd be done, over, and gone, and you'd have nothing. If I spend that much on a perfume, then I still have it for years and years, and I can enjoy it. Even if I just take the cap off and smell it, I'm getting enjoyment out of it. I have never, and maybe you have, but I have never spent $400 or $500 or $600 on a meal. So that's why I don't feel like I can spend that much on a fragrance. I can, I certainly can, and maybe I will. My whole vibe is, but you never know. Like, I could change my mind tomorrow. I could be like, you know what? Actually, I feel like spending, $1,000 on a perfume. Who knows? So, based on the fragrance prices I was talking about, the fall fragrance of my dreams is McDonald's prices. So I was into Winners, and of course I went straight to the fragrance section, and there wasn't much there. I mean, there were probably like 20, 30 different things. Most of them were like just body sprays or whatever. And I'm like, same old stuff. And there was one that I could tell was just like I think TJ Maxx is the parent company for Winners. So I saw a fragrance that I knew was just a TJ Maxx brand, and it looked like it was marketed towards men. So I took the cap off and I sniffed it. I didn't spray it. I don't do that in the store. I just always hope that someone else sprayed it so that I can smell it. So I took the cap off and I sniffed it and I put it back. I was like, I had it in my head, this would be something maybe for my husband, because it was a male targeted fragrance, or it looked like it was. So I noticed the price was $16.99. And I don't mean $1,699 like Boadicea the Victorious. I mean $16.99. I walked away from it. I didn't take any more than 10 steps, and I'm like, wow, I already couldn't get it out of my head. So I walked back, I took the cap off, I sniffed it again. I was like, getting it, $16.99, not $1,699. So I had it in my cart, and then I went, through the sections, looking at clothes, looking at candles, looking at pillows, whatever. And with the cap on, I could smell it. As I was going through the whole store, I kept being like, this is going to be a good purchase. This is a good decision. I just kept smelling it. And in my head, I'll tell you what it is. Okay, I'm going to tell you what it is. This is Bourbon Craft. I was right. It is marketed for men. It says for him. Bourbon Craft Eau de Cologne for him. Now, the brand, it has an IV, which would be 4 in Roman numerals, so I'm not sure if IV is the name of the company. Now, in my head, in the store, the whole time, I thought, this smells like Tom Ford Ébène Fumé. I was like, I can't wait to get home to compare those. I'm sure that's what it smells like. So I have been comparing this scent to a bunch of different fragrances, trying to find one that it smells like, and I can't find anything that smells exactly like it yet. Have you smelled this? Can you help me? Like, or would you go buy it if you think you know a lot of perfumes and you could figure out what it smells like? Can you go buy it? I'm kidding, but no, can you? It's so good to me. Like, it does remind me of Ébène Fumé. And every time I take off the cap, that's the one that it puts me in mind of. The thing with that one is it's a little bit heavy on like the resins and the incense and the leather. It is more masculine. So then I was wondering, does this smell like Santal Blush? Well, they all have that similar type of woodiness. Even though Ébène Fumé doesn't say that it has sandalwood, actually the woods in that one are like ebony and gaiac wood and I think Palo Santo. Maybe that's where Ébène comes from, ebony wood. Anyway, so I compared it to Replica Jazz Club, and that one has rum, whereas this probably has bourbon. I can't find the notes online for this anywhere. And also Jazz Club dries down really smoky, like not in a good way to me. It dries down like, you know, forest fire smoky, like smoky. This doesn't. Excuse my voice. This doesn't dry down smoky. So everything I wish Jazz Club would be, this is. So then I had seen on a YouTube video, there's several YouTube videos about this, by the way. I had seen several people compare it to Dolce & Gabbana, the one for men. So I do have a sample of the eau de parfum of that cologne. And when I first sprayed it, I'm like, no, this is nothing like Dolce & Gabbana, the one. I could see that it had like the undertone of it, but the overtones of that fragrance are completely barbershop to me. Like that has ginger and basil and grapefruit, like the citrus aromatic touches that make it smell like that barbershop-y vibe. But like the next day, like the deep dry down of Dolce & Gabbana, the one did actually smell the closest to this of anything I tried. But this doesn't have that masculine barbershop touch to it. If I had smelled Dolce & Gabbana, the one, I never would have reacted the way that I reacted to this one. I compared it to Adam Levine for her, and when I did, that one just seemed very annoying, too spicy, and it smelled like it had a black marker scent to it. I've also seen this compared to Killian Black Phantom online, and that has like chocolate and coffee. This does actually, later on in the dry down, this does give me a little bit of chocolate vibes, but... Hi guys, just hopping in here real quick to say there's one perfume that I forgot to mention that I had compared to Bourbon Craft, and that was Nirvana Bourbon by Elizabeth and James. Now, actually, there's no bourbon in Nirvana Bourbon. There's oak, there's tuberose, and then there's bourbon vanilla. Bourbon vanilla has no bourbon in it. It's based on like the place where they get, same as like Madagascar vanilla. It's like a place, bourbon vanilla, I guess. From what I've read, I could be wrong about that. But, so they don't smell alike. They really don't. And I just forgot to mention that I had compared those two. So I've been forced to guess what I think the notes of this may be. I definitely would put bourbon as one of the notes, and definitely like sandalwood or gaiac wood or ebony wood, like some sort of deep wood, the part of it that reminds me of Ébène Fumé. It definitely has a bit of earthiness, and I'm not sure if that is just from the wood. I don't think there's patchouli. Just a second here. There's definitely amber, and I don't know if it's an amber that's created with like benzoin or styrax or something. It has like that deep quality to it. You can probably tell by the fragrances that I compared it to. So all of those fragrances, I would have them on the little tester strips. I would smell the fragrance I was comparing this to, and I'd be like, okay, yeah, I like that. That's nice. And then I'd smell this directly after. I'd be like, oh my God, you know. So then I would check the next one. I'd smell Jazz Club. Oh, yeah, I like that. That's kind of nice. I'd smell Bourbon Craft. Oh, oh, love, like love. I guess I could talk about this all day, but should I? Should I? I'm not going to. But this is the type of scent that I would wear with like a really cozy fall sweater like this. I absolutely love it. I feel like it deserves hype. And when I looked up videos on this on YouTube, there is hype around this. There's a bit, like people were kind of going crazy over this. And I mean, this is gonna be gorgeous on my husband. I'm gonna force him to wear this. He'll probably do it willingly, I'm sure. But yeah, I definitely want my husband to wear this, but I wanna wear it too. Bourbon Craft by TJ Maxx. So another one I love for fall is the Musk by Essential Parfums. And this one is just a very like fuzzy sweater. It's a warm hug. It's musk and it's sandalwood. There's beeswax. There actually is lavender and ginger in this as well. There is a little bit of an aromatic quality to it for sure. So like I was saying, not everybody is gonna like the same scents that I like. But if you love musk and if you love sandalwood, and if you don't mind if a fragrance is very powdery and almost fuzzy, if you like the idea of a fragrance that would feel to your nose almost like a sweater, like a fuzzy wool sweater, that's what this reminds me of, then you might like this. It does have some freshness to it too. So this is just the coziest, schmoziest, fuzziest, wuzziest, warm hug of a fragrance. And let me know if you tried this one. So Oh La La by Teo Cabanel is another one of my favorites. It does remind me a little bit of the musk, but it is much sweeter and more resinous. It has hazelnut, and I can really smell the hazelnut. In this fragrance, I can pick up almost every single note that's in it. It has orris, it has tobacco, there's saffron. There's no vanilla, which surprises me because it does have a little bit of a vanillic touch to it, in my opinion. There's also tonka bean, there's white musk. I think I mentioned sandalwood, hazelnut. It's just, I can smell all of those notes in this perfume. I just love it. It is so comforting to me, and it definitely gives me fall vibes for sure. It just reminds me of like just walking in a fall forest with crunchy leaves, and you know, you find a patch of hazelnuts in a saffron garden. And I always say this one reminds me of myrrh in a way. There's just that resinous, almost a little bit like a dark licorice, resinous sweetness to it. And I just love this one so much. This one's really special. I have Swiss Arabian Casablanca. Most of you have heard of this one. It's kind of like a caramel apple pie. To me, it kind of smells like eating an apple pie by, you know, a crackling campfire. It doesn't smell smoky, but it just has that like, just kind of a nighttime cool fall air. You are sitting by a crackling fire with your friends, wrapped up in a blanket, roasting your apple pie on a stick, as one would, and sipping on some white wine. For some reason, I picture like white wine is part of this fragrance or goes with it. It's probably the grapes, but I can just like picture having a glass of white wine while I'm wearing this one for sure. Although I'm usually a red girl, but I think I'd go for white with this one. This one has a lot of notes. It has apples, grapes, white woods, patchouli, iris, caramel, amber, suede, musk, and Peru balsam. So yes, it is sweet. The apples, the grapes, the caramel, the amber all give a lot of sweetness, but there's a ton of earthiness to this fragrance too. Like you have the patchouli, the iris, the Peru balsam. There's just a lot of like earthiness, and that allows me to be able to enjoy a fragrance that's this sweet because it is balanced. And especially like smelling it out of the nozzle, actually it smells even sweeter. But once you wear it, like I just find it just becomes very well-rounded, like especially like the sillage, the projection in the air. It's just more of a well-balanced fragrance. And again, you aren't necessarily gonna like this just because I like it, but I like it. Now, my new little baby, New York Nights by Bond Number 9. You can be sure I'm gonna be wearing this fall. This one also is very powdery to me. I'm not sure if that's one of the accords listed, but it's caramel, but it's like as if caramel was powdery. I don't know if that makes sense to you. I've heard people describe this as smelling like banana bread. And I thought that I didn't get that vibe, but now when I smell it, I totally get banana bread from it. Like drizzled in caramel and sitting on a little bed of like powdery woods. This is so very well blended to my nose. Like I can tell there's florals in here because the sweetness is balanced with that like pretty floral feeling, but I never would have known which florals it has. I can't pick them out. It has gardenia, carnation, and maybe rose? No, gardenia, carnation, and jasmine. See, I wouldn't have known. There's also a note just called flowers, and there's C notes, and there's patchouli, and there's a lot of like very interesting notes that you'd find in nature, like C notes. But the sandalwood and the caramel and the coffee are the parts that I love the most about this fragrance. Oh my word, that's so good. Love it. Love it. Another one of my fall favorites is Santal Blush by Tom Ford. Now, I have it in this little bottle that I've decanted it into. My most embarrassing thing that I've ever done in my perfume journey, I can't even say it. It's my biggest, no, I shouldn't say it's my biggest perfume regret, because I shouldn't have perfume regrets. It's the most embarrassing thing I've ever done, ever, when it comes to perfume. It was so early in my fragrance journey and I didn't understand how long a bottle of perfume will last. I loved Santal Blush. It was on my wish list. I absolutely adored it. And I have found out since then that I can't really wear it in the summer or in warm weather, but in cold weather, it just shines and becomes even more glorious than I ever remembered. But you guys, you can probably figure out what I'm about to say. It was the Sephora 20% off sale, and I thought, well, I just love this, and it's 20% off. It's like, you probably guess what I'm gonna say. I bought a decanter of Santal Blush. I might not post this. I'm so embarrassed. I literally am so embarrassed. It's still, the level is still up to the top of the label. Like I've used probably this much, but that's where it narrows up. So it's not even like I've used that much. And then I was thinking lately, like, why did I do that? I was just like a baby. It's like when a toddler does something and they don't understand. So please don't judge me too harshly. I'm embarrassed enough of my own shame that I put on myself over that. But anyways, yesterday I was reorganizing my perfumes after my 3 declutter videos that I did. Everything was chaos up in my bedroom. Just boxes everywhere, bottles everywhere. I had them on, I have a little like mini trampoline up there. They were all like laying on the trampoline. They were everywhere. And I looked at my decanter of Santal Blush and I thought, hello, hi. And so I took the little glass thing off and I put it on my wrist and I set it back on. I always keep it in the box. It never sees light. It never sees light. It's always in its own little dark box. I keep it in the box always. Anyway, as I went throughout my day yesterday, every time I put my hand near my face, I was like, I had the same reaction to it that made me purchase that big decanter. I just was in love yesterday. Like, I was taking my toast out of the toaster. Like, what is that smell? Oh, Santal Blush. Oh my God. Like when you smell it, like right from the atomizer or from the decanter, it doesn't smell that great. It has a very like almost BO. I think it has like cumin or coriander. Like it has a lot of herbs and spices that are like not necessarily pleasant. But what happens is when it dries down on your skin, it is so gorgeous. I heard that this was Taylor Swift's one of her favorite scents. So I don't feel like too bad about like doing what I did. I'm ashamed, but I have it and maybe it'll last me for the rest of my life, and maybe I will eventually go through it. But I was so green in my journey. I didn't know what I was doing. I thought that you went through perfume really fast, and I'm like, well, man, I'll probably use it up fast as much as I love it. Little did I know. But anyway, the experience that I had with it yesterday and wearing it, I felt like good about the fact that I have it. And I do like having this little bottle of it. I just got this on Amazon. So guys, don't tell anyone, please. Don't tell anyone. Like, this be our little secret, okay? So yeah, I still love it as much as I ever did. And anyway, that's my story. Now, I want to talk a little bit about my journey with Lovefest Burning Cherry by Kayali. I have a travel size. I have a funny relationship with cherry. It's not one of my favorite notes. It's not even one of my favorite flavors, and anything that has like fruity flavors, cherry would be probably my last resort. But I like maraschino cherries. I would put those right on my ice cream. As you saw in my last declutter video, I decided to declutter Venom of Love, and guess what? I was able to sell it. And I was so happy about that. Like, it made the entire declutter worth it. I sold that one because it was completely unopened. It was completely sealed in the cellophane packaging. The story behind why I decluttered it is all in that video. I won't go into that right now, but the note of cherry in fragrance is a bully to my nose. Cherry molecules in the air float into my nose, and they hog all of the scent receptors in my nose. When there's cherry in a perfume, I can't smell any other notes, usually. Cherry just takes over. I can't smell the chocolate. I can't smell the woods. I can't smell anything, just the cherry. They must be, the size of the molecules must be like the perfect match to my scent receptors, and they hog them all. There's no space for any other scent to get into my nose. But Lovefest Burning Cherry is one of the scents that I can smell the woodiness, and I can smell like the other notes that are in it. It has patchouli, it has vetiver, it has, I think, gaiac wood. There's a bunch of florals, there's tonka bean, there's palo santo, there's all these other notes. And for some reason, maybe it's because there's so many other notes, I'm able to smell something besides just cherry. However, it's still quite cherry dominant to my nose. And I just wish that I could like smell a more balanced smell. So I was watching Zhane the other day. You guys know Zhane Antoinette here on YouTube. She was doing a video on her September perfume tray, and she mentioned, I'll link that video below, by the way. She mentioned a layering combo with Lovefest Burning Cherry that I could not wait to try. And she said to layer it with Billie Eilish 2. So I layered Lovefest with Billie Eilish 2 on one hand, and I thought, well, why don't I try Velvet Santal by Kayali, since it's the same brand and it's a sandalwood-based fragrance, and see how that makes out. So the side with Billie Eilish 2 balanced out that cherry even more and brought out more woodiness, whereas the Velvet Santal couldn't quite do that same thing. The cherry was still coming through really strong. It almost like made the cherry stronger somehow. So I was so happy to find that combination. I'm probably not gonna buy a full bottle of Billie Eilish 2, just to know that I can layer up Lovefest and cut that cherry note down even further. Like, I don't hate cherry. Like, I like it. I just wish it could be balanced. I really like my fragrances to be balanced out. So I was very happy with the Billie Eilish combination. And when it came to Venom of Love, like, I couldn't smell the chocolate in that one. I had a sample of it, and I just couldn't smell the chocolate in that. The cherry just overpowered it. Even after all this time of letting it macerate months later, it's still just cherry to me. Boozy cherry, but cherry, just cherry. So if you watch my sample sniff part 2 video where I smelled 3 Theodoros Kalatinas fragrances, I didn't like any of them, sorry. The velvet chocolate was just terrible, medicinally chocolate to me. And I thought, wait a minute, why don't I try, I'm finally gonna try that on my skin. I wouldn't even spray it on my skin because I hated the way it smelled in the air, that velvet chocolate. So I'm like, now's my chance. I am gonna see if I can finally make a cherry chocolate combination, because cherry chocolates, not the ones with the liqueur inside, but just the ones with the sugary white, you know, syrup inside. Those are one of my favorite things, especially at Christmas time. I love cherry chocolates. I thought now's my chance to see if I can actually create a cherry chocolate smell. So I layered it on the side with the 2 Kayalis, and I layered it on the side with the Billie Eilish and the Lovefest. And the Billie Eilish side with the velvet chocolate and the Lovefest burning cherry made the chocolate cherry smell. I finally created it. What a layering combo, along a layering trio. And finally this fall, I'd like to wear some rose fragrances. And I'm tossed up between 3. I'm gonna try them all, but I'm tossed up between 3 as to which to mention. So I'm just gonna mention them all quickly. One is Fenty by Fenty. This is a gorgeous rose. And this would be a great one to layer something sweet with. Because it doesn't have a whole lot of sweetness. It has like the blueberry, the tangerine, there's patchouli, there's geranium, magnolia, and of course rose. There's no vanilla or anything like that in it, so you could layer this one. This is going to be a really good one. And then I have Sweet Diamond Pink Pepper by Kayali. I absolutely love this. Oh my word, this one has amber and it has pepper as well as rose, and there's saffron in it. This is so expensive smelling to me, and I know, is that even a thing? But I mean, this smells like classy and glorious, gorgeous. I absolutely love this. But again, this doesn't have vanilla in it, but it still has its own sweetness. And then there's L'Extase by Nina Ricci. So this one does have a lot of sweetness to it. It does have vanilla and caramel and amber, and there's fruits. There's peach, pear, raspberry, and it has pink pepper like Sweet Diamond Pink Pepper has. So I'm going to be trying all these out, and you know, someday if you're wondering which one I ended up wearing more of, leave me a comment and I'll answer you. So this has been my fall fragrance video, my fall favorites. To me, fall is more about the cozy, fuzzy, powdery scents, whereas when I get to winter, it'll be more of the creamy, deep vanillas and even resinous fragrances and things that are like dark and mysterious. Those are my winter scents. But fall is cozy schmozy. Fall is like, you know, curling up with a blanket. Fall is a crackling fire. And I mean, winter is those things too, but like fall's just different, you know? I don't have to tell you, you know. So thank you guys so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Bye. I wonder if I'm still recording. Oh my god, yep. Yeah. And now I'm going to tell you which wine I would pair with each fragrance. Now obviously this one we would pair a rosé, preferably like, you know, 2003 rosé, something, probably something from New Zealand. That would be what I would suggest. Anyway, that's my speech. Kayali velvet scent, and so the side with the